Welcome to Make and Decorate, a podcast for makers who love to sew, quilt, and decorate. Hello, everyone. Are you surprised to see another podcast pop up in your podcast feed? Well, I decided to give you an extra bonus episode this month. And this bonus episode is what my patrons get. So this is their March bonus episode. Given that most of us are sheltering at home, I thought that it would be good to give you something else to listen to the following week. And I have seen a lot of artists and creators and other companies do something special for their customers and their followers. And I wanted to do the same for my listeners. So I really hope that you enjoy this extra bonus episode. And it also kind of gives you an idea of what a bonus episode is like for the subscribing patrons. This episode, I continue to talk with Vicki Holloway. We recorded this in late January, so it's a great conversation, and we talk about a little bit about everything, and it's really fun. So I hope that you enjoy and listen to it while you are sewing or quilting or whatever it is that you're doing this week. All right, here we go. Well, hello, patrons. Welcome to the episode 6 of the Patreon bonus episodes. I have a great show for you today. I've got Vicki Holloway back talking with me, and this is a really good episode. It was so much fun talking with her, and our conversation is just so fluid and natural. So those are always nice to get because I didn't even really know her before, other than I did listen to her podcast all the time. So it's always kind of fun when it's just like you have this natural connection, and it's just easy. Everything is so easy to talk, easy to, just, I don't know. It's just, it was like an instant friend connection there. So that was a lot of fun. So before we get on to that conversation, I'll just do a little chit chat with you here. On yesterday's episode, in my chit chat segment, I gave a lot of resources on things that you could do from home, and I've got another one to share with you, but it's just. I'll just take a little time out again to just talk about how crazy the last couple of weeks have been. And it's just, you have to, I kind of stay up with the news anyway, but sometimes I have to take a time out when I feel it like just getting to me. And then like I won't watch the news for like 3, maybe even to 5 days. But you can't do that with this thing that's going on here, because things change, not even by the day, but by like the hour. We went from last Saturday, March 14, going from being in crowds of 250. Then the very next day, the CDC said now only be in crowds of 50. And then the following day, Monday of this week, now limited to 10 people. So it's just rapidly escalating with this COVID-19. And so anyway, I hope all of you are safe and healthy. And the other thing about this is just the severe impact to our economy. And industries like the restaurant and travel, non-essential things, businesses or small businesses. When you have to shut down, your income flow just stops, and that's a pretty scary thing. So, yeah, it's a really uncertain time right now, and I've gone through my own levels of emotions. I wrote this in my show notes for the regular podcast yesterday, that last Thursday was right before all of this panic buying and any of the CDC stuff started really coming out. And I just happened to be ahead of it just by a little bit, because I happened to go to Costco in the morning on Thursday, and people were just starting to like go there, and things were starting to like empty on the shelves. So that was shocking to me. And after I got home and I put everything away, by the next day, Friday, I was in like a full-blown panic attack of myself. Like I just, because I have anxiety, and I have a problem even being in large crowds to begin with, but unless they're sewing crowds. It's funny because, so for instance, Navy Pier is a very big tourist hotspot in Chicago, and it's right on the lake, but there are always throngs of people, and you're very close and tight with them. And I don't like that. And you got all these weird food smells and everything, and smells kind of give me anxiety. I just have issues with anxiety. And as an adult, I did not have this as a kid. But then you get me into a convention center at a sewing quilting trade show, and there's tons of people there, but I'm okay. I can walk through those crowds because I'm comfortable. I feel like the people there are my kindred spirits, and we're all kind of happy and jolly and, well, for the most part, polite. But it's very strange what the mind does with you. And in a certain crowded situation, you're fine, and others not so fine. So, so I definitely had to take some anxiety medication to get myself back down. And then you just go through these series of emotions like fear and sadness, and just, it just, and then it recycles again. So I've had to really, just limit the news consumption to only get the specifics, and then not have it on all day long. Some people that have it on all day long, they're torturing themselves, and they're really getting anxietied out themselves. So since then, I've definitely been, implementing some things and activities to just be calm and remind myself that you cannot, worry about things that are not in your control. And we just have to make the most out of the situation we're in. And this too will pass. So definitely rely upon your loved ones. And that's also why I gave a lot of list of resources, like not only sewing, quilting, but like cooking. Cooking can be therapeutic too. And since we all have to cook now because restaurants are closed down, it's just kind of getting creative in the kitchen too. So anyway, that's just kind of where I've been in the last few weeks. And so, you can use this Patreon platform to post any comments. You can post Anything. I mean, we're going to be there for each other. And if I see a comment or a post or a question or anything, I'll be happy to respond. So don't be shy and don't think you can't say anything. That's what this platform is for. So that other resource that I mentioned earlier is Creative Bug. So Creative Bug is a subscription-based online class platform. I was a member of it for a couple years, but then I stopped my subscription because I really wasn't, making good use of it anymore. But they have a couple things going on. For 30 days, they are offering 50 free classes, and you do not have to give your credit card. So you don't have to sign up in any way to get those 50 free classes. Then I also heard that they are also offering 2 weeks of free online classes. Now, I do think you do kind of have to sign up and give your credit card, and then you'll have to cancel if you don't want to continue after 2 weeks. But with that one, I think you have access to all of the classes. But I think I might even just take a look and see what 50 free classes there are with that. And I just thought of another one. Blueprint. They are also offering. I forgot now. I should have written this down. But if you want to check it out, just go to blueprint.com because they're also offering something to people that are staying at home. I don't know if it's like a free, amount of time of viewing. You know what? I'm going to go check right now. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So Blueprint is offering 14 days of free access to their site. I think that's what they normally offer, so I don't even think that's anything out of the ordinary with them. If you do watch Blueprint, they do have a nice little class about fairy gardens. That's really nice. I kind of like watching them more for other topics than like the quilting and sewing. Like the gardening is pretty good, and there are a couple of cooking ones. I know that there was this one cooking one that taught 3 different types of homemade salsas that you could make. So that was interesting. And of course, I do watch some of the quilting ones that I find that are going to be interesting, but they just don't put out a lot of that content as much. And it's not the same like Craftsy used to be. Of course, we all know that. Okay, so let's see. Moving on. All right, so in our this episode, Vicki and I talk about the Super Bowl and who we think is going to win because we recorded this right before the Super Bowl. So I know that's old news, but it's kind of funny to hear who we each kind of were thinking was going to win. And Kansas City won, by the way. The other thing is I did some more research on what we also talk about in this episode, which is the Cricut Maker and the Silhouette Cameo 4. So now the Silhouette Cameo 4 has 2 more wider sizes, and I'm really interested in that. So I think that I am going to wait and until I can get the 15-inch wide one. They are going to have a 20-inch wide version as well, and I think that's coming out maybe in April or so. But I mean, the more, like, the larger these machines get, of course, the higher the price tag gets. So I think I can get what I want done and cut on the 15-inch Silhouette than I need for the 20-inch. I mean, the 20-inch is ideal if you want to cut out large pattern pieces like for bag making, because some of those pattern pieces are going to be in the 20-inch range, I guess, but I think enough of them will fit on the 15-inch ones. So yeah, I'm still pondering that. I don't know. Decisions. But hey, right now there's no budget to get one, so I don't have to worry about it. All right. I hope you guys enjoy this show. And again, I just wish you the best during this tough time. And I hope you stay healthy and your family does. And we're going to get through this. That's what we really need to think positively about. And hopefully by the end of summer, we will all be back on our feet again. All right, here we go. Me and Vicki right now. Okay, patrons, this is our bonus episode, and I've got Vicki Holloway, and we're going to continue talking about quilting and creative things. So, hi, Vicki.
Hello.
Thanks for staying on. And I have, so many topics written down that we haven't even gotten to. So we've got plenty to talk about. So just a couple of things just to give you an idea. We're going to talk a little bit more about quilting, but also I wanted to talk to you about your a couple of other crafts you do, like with your Cricut Maker and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that Cricut Maker. It was probably outside of a sewing machine, the best thing I ever bought.
Really?
It was an amazing investment. What's really great about the Maker is that you can actually cut your fabric on it for quilting. That's why I bought it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to start incrementally learning how to use it, and then I'll start designing my own blocks and things like that. But it's like opened up this whole other world of, vinyl and putting vinyl decorations on things and cards and paper, flowers and wreaths. So it's been like very inspiring because there are certain things I'm not an excellent artist, so like drawing things isn't my thing, but I can certainly put stickers on an old wee yogurt jar and make it into a candle holder. And it has taken me back to being a kid and tapping into some of these crafts that are cool. They don't cost a ton of money, and it's that instant gratification project.
Right.
When you're working on a quilt for a year of your life, or in my cases, some are several years of my life. You need something that is like done, like completely done. And that's where making things with the Cricut is super fun, because you can, even in an afternoon, do a pretty complicated project. The other part is we've talked a little bit, about decision exhaustion and being just overwhelmed with all the decisions you make. I keep my subscription up to Cricut's Design Space and their Access program. So you can have all these patterns that are already there and full projects. And on a day when you don't have a lot of brain space, you can just download that project, cut it out, make it, put your own spin on it. You can customize everything. And it's great. It's really fun. And I'm going to start doing a lot more cutting of my fabric up on it, because the rotary blade takes a lot of pressure on your fingers, at least on the way I do it. And there comes a point where it's wrist, neck, can really get your back going. So I would highly recommend it, but you got to have a Maker to cut fabric, because it's the only that rotary blade.
And not the Explorer or the other ones, the Maker. I've been debating, because I have the Silhouette Cameo 2 machine, and they're a little bit behind Cricut, because this new release that they did this fall with the 4 finally has the rotary blade, but I haven't gotten it yet. And I have just been, researching. I'm already familiar with the Silhouette and how it works and its design software, so I was thinking, well, maybe I might just stay with it. But everybody I talk to that uses the Cricut Maker loves it.
I do. And you don't have to buy all Cricut branded products to make it work.
Okay.
That's where sometimes, the only thing I know right now that you have to buy that's a blank, the things that you're going to decorate is the things for the new infusible ink, which looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a heat transfer vinyl. It looks like it soaks into either the shirts or the coasters or the bags that you might be making.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be next year. But
cool.
I'm like keeping myself focused, staying with the spot right now. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole yet until I learn how to do a little bit more with it. Because you can go down a rabbit hole with some of these making like the Maker machine and find that there's like 10,000 more products that you could purchase to make all of these things. And
right. So the Cricut Maker itself will do, because on the Silhouette, I can do the heat transfer vinyl. I've done. That's fun. In fact, I made my own Bears t-shirt when we went to the game in September, and I used this flocked vinyl. It was, and that's what the bear was made out of. Oh, it was so cool. But yeah, so you can do that with a Cricut Maker. And then when you cut fabric with their rotary blade, do you just put the fabric on the mat?
Yep, there's no prepping the back, like on a knife blade, you have to put a stabilizer on it.
Yeah.
No, you stick it right on the mat. Okay. And the Maker also opens you up to using for chipboard or cutting, like basswood and some other leather and leather-like products.
Oh, okay.
So you can do a lot more with the depth of the materials you're cutting. I'm not sure that you can do basswood and stuff with like the Explorer or any of the other machines, but I know you can. I've bought the stuff and I haven't got enough nerve up to try it yet.
Oh, cool. That's interesting. Yeah, when you speak of the basswood, there's another machine that I got all excited about until I saw the price, and it was the Glowforge.
Yes. Oh my, we want one of those so bad. My husband and I are like, we got to get a Glowforge. And I'm like,
I wish my husband would say that.
Oh, he is so excited about the Glowforge. He goes, we've got to get that. And then we looked at the price and we're like,
I know.
Now, interesting about the Cricut Maker, you remind me, they came out with a new blade this year, which is etching glass, flat glass.
Oh, okay.
And you can etch metal, like serving knives for weddings. I've seen that done.
Like engraving?
So, yep, you can engrave things. So, it has to be flat. You can't, obviously, you can do curved glass, but the Glowforge, oh, yes. Maybe when I retire, that will be like another fun thing.
Right. So for the listeners that don't know, but the Glowforge is like this Mac Daddy version of a Cricut where it's like industrial and it does 3D stuff of cutting and
engraving and
it's almost like a mini what is it called, CNC machine. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So that's he has a big interest, and I'm going to remember that and just put that card out there on the table when we're ready to retire and maybe have a little more time.
Yes, one day. Oh, cool. Yeah. So that's good to hear about the Cricut Maker. And you said that's a new blade. So do you think that they're going, because it's been a few years since the Cricut Maker version came out, do you think that they're going to like make a new model anytime soon?
I think they probably always will make new
That's the
models,
problem with these machines.
Yeah, I think that this model, though, I think might have some staying power with some upgrades, maybe with your computer and with the software in the machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is one of those things, there's always upgrades. And I think, though, the Maker's going to hang out for a little while, but I don't really have any, because I don't know where the technology is really going to go with
and as long as it can cut the fabric, I mean, that's really the reason why I would upgrade to either a Maker or the Silhouette 4 is for fabric cutting.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Do my little research with you.
Oh yeah, I thought about it long.
But you use the machine, so it's always good to talk to someone who actually uses it.
And I had zero experience with any of these kind of machines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten the technology on it's made it to where, you practically can plug it in and do it. It
Mm-hmm.
really is pretty easy to
Yeah.
run.
Yeah, it's fun. I think they're fun. So, and it's a different type of creative, using different parts of your creative mind and
Mhm.
like hand-eye skill kind of type of a thing too.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. With quilting, you let's talk about your quilt style because I think you and I have a similar style, but we call it different things. So you call yours traditional fusion.
I do.
And
Yep.
mine is called, because I'm from the interior design world, so the design that we call transitional design is the same thing where you mixed old with the new or
Yes.
classic with the modern. So,
Absolutely.
and I love that too. I love doing that. So talk about how you do that with your quilting.
I like to take ideas from, like traditional blocks, and that's where I think most of us start with traditional block based types of things, and then maybe try to figure out how to do a contemporary twist on it, or even maybe have it be fractured, like take a churn dash and make its elements
Mm.
separate and explode it on a quilt. Sometimes those things are fun. But I also like to take things that might look traditional and put modern color palettes with it. And people will be like, really, that's a pretty big, explosion of color. But I also like to do things like I did a pineapple quilt last year that's a traditional paper piece pineapple block, but I didn't put them all together to see the pineapple. Is that's how
Mm.
you can see it when you put them all the blocks together. But I spread them out and I put more negative space in there, and I made 6-inch sashings with little cornerstones of little tiny pineapple blocks, and
Oh,
so you
yeah.
pineapple block. But what I think when I'm done, I'm going to have a lot more quilting in that white space,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm putting feathers on it. And so that's a traditional element
Mm-hmm.
on a really ultra modern color palette. I used
Yeah.
Tula Pink and her solids, and then
Mm-hmm.
I took the scraps I had and fussy cut the centers. And yeah, so I tried to do more modern color palettes, and I tried to take a little bit of idea from the tradition and maybe a little nod to the quilts that I've made in the past that were extremely traditional and
Mm-hmm.
Civil War
Mm-hmm.
esque. But even my Civil War diary quilt that we talked about in the episode, I made it with wild browns and oranges and solid blues and all kinds of different colors to give it a more modern spin.
Mm.
And I think that's a more and more negative space. I think also, trying to
Right.
make
Yeah.
the elements either supersized or micro
Mm-hmm.
and give a lot more room to breathe in
Yeah.
my quilt.
That's a good tip. Yeah, to kind of like expand it and that's what modern is a lot is like having negative space and things that are asymmetrical. So good tips on that. Because I enjoy modern, but I really love it to be anchored with something from the classic traditional world. That's just
Yes.
me.
No, and sometimes the anchoring I'll use is maybe feathers.
Yeah.
Like traditionally, feathers are not, found on modern quilts. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually straight line quilting. And I'm like, come on, modern people, join 2020. We're going with free motion. It's going to be swirls and it's going to be circles, and feathers is still modern, and it can be very modern. It
Well,
doesn't have to
couple
be.
they're it's starting to come around because even they're adding a lot more curves to modern quilts. And a person I had on the podcast last summer, Natalia Bonner, I think she does like a modern version of feathers with her long arm quilting.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does some beautiful work. And
Oh,
Christine
gorgeous. Yeah.
Kamali,
Mm-hmm.
went to my first quilt con last year,
Okay.
and she had all free motion quilting on hers, and it was all the circular, curvy feathers. And yeah, I'm like,
Nice.
yeah, we finally have a
Yeah.
quilt in the show. That's amazing. It was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. What are your favorite notions and tools? Do you have some?
My favorite notions and tools. So I have to say, my favorite rulers are something that I love, and they're the creative grids because they have the
Oh,
no
yeah.
slip on the back. I absolutely love that. And I really, 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 really love good lighting. I have lights from multiple different companies, and being in the Midwest and as far north, and you probably run into it, it's dark already here, and
It's getting
I
dark here
need
too.
lots of lights and lots of light. So good lighting, good and the good rulers have made a huge difference for my creativity.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said lighting, because that's something that a lot of people forget about, not even just in their crafting and sewing world, but just in everyday life, is not
Yes.
realizing how important lighting is.
And
So,
it's amazing when you get a good lighting on your project. Your
yeah.
accuracy gets better, the colors look better, or you'll go, whoa, that was a color mistake because I'm picking colors in the dark, so
Yeah.
totally love lighting.
And I'm going to jump in here with one of my favorite things too is, and I just got it like a month ago, but I have one of those slimline lights that are popular now.
Yes.
But I have had that, but then I just got the attachment with the magnifying glass that you can like go up and down with. And
Yes.
like
Look at that.
yeah, so like if I have to look inside my bobbin case, or I just lower it down and look at that, or threading needle or whatever. I love it.
Oh, I love this little cube light I have. It's for like if you're podcasting, you need light, or if you're doing a video.
Ah.
But what I like is it's magnetic on the back, so I could put it in by my sewing machine area, or on a shelf or something that's metal. But it's got a diffuser on it, and it's really bright, and
Oh yeah.
it's you could take it outside, you can put it on your car if you had a flat tire. I really love this little light, and I put it in the living room with me sometimes when I'm sewing, because some of my other lights I have from several companies. I've bought lights over the years, but I like this because it's not as harsh on my eyes as some of the lights. I definitely, if you're going to get a light, you have to have something that has an adjustable brightness on it.
Yeah, I agree. Is that called a cube light, or what is that called?
Lume, Lume.
Lume.
Okay, I lied. It's a Litra. Lume makes another one,
Oh,
but I bought this one.
Litra. Okay.
Yep, this is a Litra, Litra.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah,
both of them.
I'll include that in the
they're
post.
fantastic.
That's a cute little
great.
light. I've never seen that before.
Pop it in your purse if you're traveling, especially up here, if I worry about a flat tire or something.
Sure, and a magnetic too.
Yep.
That's
It's a
convenient.
great thing.
Great.
I think some people use them for like GoPros and stuff, or if you're a camper, but I use it for crafting.
Yes, yeah, that's very cool. I love learning about things that I haven't heard of before, so that's awesome.
Oh, I do too.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you too, because you did a podcast recently and was talking about your outlook for 2020, and I wondered if there is a project that you really, really want to do just for yourself.
There are several, actually. 2020, I decided, is the year that I need to probably back off a little bit on making quilts for magazines. I think I was published in 3 last year, which is a record for me. I still work full time, and I wanted to do a Gwen Marston inspired improv quilt. That's part of a challenge that my circle of friends quilting is doing. I'm finishing up a block of the month that I bought last year, and I never sat down and did it. And it's traditional quilts with black background and solid colors. And then after that, I wanted to keep exploring making something that's a little more traditional with a modern spin on it. So I was thinking about a potential churn dash, or something that, log cabin, things that are steeped in tradition, but made a little more modern. And I still am toying with that, dear Jane. I have the book. I have
the book too.
And I'm just like, I don't know if 2020 is the year.
Right.
But I do want to do that. And the other thing I want to do is just really assess my scrap piles here.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking at, what do I need to use up? How do I want to use it up? Do I want to keep it? That kind of a thing, because there just comes a point where you don't have enough room. But yeah, those are the things I want to do for myself this year. And I have an old pineapple quilt to quilt, old traditional base looking pineapple quilt that we talked about. And I just finished up a more modern, it's a real pineapple. It made the internet last year. And then the year before as a fad where everybody they're just made with little squares and half squares with the top. And it looks like a real pineapple. So that's on my list that I want to quilt this year.
Yeah.
And the other part is for myself. I need to grow up and put big girl pants on and tackle my mountain over here of 6 or 8 quilts that I need to bind. I was very, very lucky that for several years I had a friend who bound all my quilts for me. And she's incredibly ill right now, and she's actually in hospital. So, she's not my binding angel anymore. And she gave me some great tips on how to grow up and miter my corners for real. And I curved them for a long time, and how to get them to lay flat in what some of my mistakes were. And I need to do that for myself. I need to just learn how to do it proper. And it's always when I go to a quilt show, my biggest comment is that my binding, if I did it myself, my binding was not up to par. So it's something that I really, really, really want to learn for myself this year as doing. I farmed out a lot of my binding over the last few years. I got way far behind, and I need to do that.
Yeah, I hear binding is definitely sometimes the least favorite part of quilt making for some people, but it's never really bothered me that much. The only part that was the most tricky for me was getting that when you get to the ends and you connect the beginning to the end, and I wanted to do it with that diagonal seam
bias.
Where the bias seam where it becomes invisible, and I finally have figured it out.
Lay flat, and I'm like, hallelujah, I have learned something. But I will be honest, there are times I give it 3 attempts. If I can't get that angle, the 45 degree bias angle to lay on the 3rd attempt, I will do a straight on. I will chop it off. I will add more binding, and I will do the simple straight.
Well, you fold it over, and it's so fast and easy to do it that way. And I tell myself that too, but then I'm like, no, you're going to do this. You're going to get it. So there I sit for another 40 minutes.
Because I used to hand cut because this is how, the traditional taught, the way you were taught was, I actually remember how you used to make a tube and cut all your binding on the bias. Did you ever try that?
I have tried it. It is a nightmare. I don't like it. It never works out.
Never.
I have tried it.
I've done that. Why is this so hard? Joining pieces shouldn't be that hard for me, but it is. So that the other goal for this year is learning how to do all my own binding and tackle this mountain here.
Well, I need to do a video because I've figured out a little shortcut way that I do mine where some of these processes, they complicate it to no end, and it gets too confusing. So I even at one quilt show bought the acrylic binding tool and everything and all these steps, and forget it. So I don't even measure or do ruler or anything. The only thing I do is mark. So I'll do a video on that to see. Maybe you can watch it later on.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to your binding tutorial because
we'll see if I can duplicate it. That's another thing. It's just like practicing quilting. If I haven't done that binding in a while, then I'm like starting over again. But then once I get it, I'm like, okay, now remember this.
I want to do like all of them in succession. That way it's like,
Yeah.
and save the biggest one for the end so that it's good,
Right,
and start with wall hangings.
And then do you like to you do the hand binding when you flip it over and close it? I do that a lot too. I know a lot of people like to do the machine one, and I have done it. I mean, especially on like little baby quilts, but I still haven't gotten it to the point where I'm like happy with the way it looks when you see the stitching on the other side.
I've attempted it and I've never been super happy with it. And I'm just kind of like, and I like doing handwork. So, doing the binding is the one thing I can still stitch pretty quickly and not get
it's not
tired.
that bad. Yeah. And you could do it while you watch TV or Netflix or whatever. So
our football games.
Yes. This is awesome. So, all right. Speaking of football, who are you going to root for in the Super Bowl this year? Oh, I can't say that. In the big game this year.
The big game. I really think the 49ers are going to be the team. I do.
They probably will, but I'm kind of cheering for Kansas City. And because my husband will never let this go, but their quarterback, Mahomes, was supposed to be the Bears quarterback this year.
That's right.
Yes.
Forgot about that. Wow.
Huge mistake
made
on the Bears. Yes. So, yeah, every time we watch him, and then he's like, oh, he's so good. Oh, the Bears could have had him.
It could have been a contender.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to my Patreon bonus podcast show. I really appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure talking with you. You've shared a lot of great tips on the show. So that's wonderful. And well, who knows? We'll have to do this again maybe next year.
Absolutely. I had an incredibly good time. And I wish that all of your patrons that they will appreciate what a great show you have and support. And I really enjoyed being on the show, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for listening to the Make and Decorate podcast. The podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Stephanie Socha. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.